Part 31. The fake daughter can be either salty or sweet. Author, Wu Zai. Chapter 301. Chapter 301, Should I call you grandpa or brother? But in order not to reveal her identity, she calmly clarified the matter on social platforms and thanked everyone for their recognition of her appearance and acting skills. It wasn't until their files were released that everyone settled the suspense. Maybe it can be deceived once or twice, but it may not be so easy to deceive the third time. Although human life cannot be eternal, big data will always be with them. But Yang Zizi was unwilling to leave this place. She was afraid that Lun Chenchi would not be able to find them when he returned. Fortunately, netizens had no doubts this time and thought that she just looked similar to the national goddess of the last century. After all, there are many people in the world who look similar. Has the little ambassador gone to kindergarten? Yang Zizi asked casually during dinner time. In fact, vampires or angels do not need to receive human education at all, because they are born with extremely strong self-learning ability. The little angel's self-control is not that strong now. Just in case, don't let him go to kindergarten. Why does this kid need to go to kindergarten? Even the famous teachers in high school are ashamed to be his teachers. Mommy, the little kids in the kindergarten are too stupid. They don't know anything, and they have to be led by the little angel to do anything. The little kid was very proud when he said this. Yang Zizi looked at the proud look of this boy. He had the face of Lun Chenchi when he was a child, but he had the expression of 11 Jin who was in need of a beating. Hey, it turns out that whoever brought him up has a similar personality. The envoy is now 100 years old. Of course they don't know as much as you do. The little ambassador tilted his head and thought for a while. It seemed that this was the case. The little envoy is much older than them, so should they call him grandpa? The little envoy raised his little head, blinked his big eyes and looked at Yang Zizi, looking like he was asking for advice humbly, which was very cute. This title really scared 11 Jin and his brothers to the point of spitting out their food. If you call a little kid who looks like he is only 3 years old grandpa, others will probably think that there is something wrong with his brain. Yang Zizi didn't know how to answer this question. He called him grandpa. Judging from how long he was born, there was indeed nothing wrong with him. However, looking at the growth of this little guy, it was a bit slow. It only took 100 years to grow into a 3-year-old boy. He looks like a 19-year-old baby, and if someone calls him grandpa, it will really make people laugh out loud. Ask your uncles about this. Yang Zizi couldn't answer the question, so he just passed the blame to his brothers. Her brothers have lived for 1,000 years, so they should be more experienced than her in this kind of thing. The little envoy's big, studious, and inquisitive eyes turned to look at his uncles and brother 11 Jin, waiting for their answer. The uncles were also hesitant and didn't know how to answer this little guy's imaginative question. Seeing the embarrassment between the uncles and brother 11 Jin, the little messenger sighed impiously. The uncles and brother 11 Jin are both stupid. Of course we can't call them grandpa, we have to call them brother. This guy, he deliberately made comparisons with them to show his IQ. This guy is so weird and weird, he looks very much like 11 Jin. 11 Jin looked innocent and harmless. He said that he was innocent. He took care of the envoy by himself for only 10 years. 10 years later, his uncle suddenly appeared and began to take care of the baby with him. During the holidays, Yang Zizi was going to take the little angel to the amusement park. He didn't want the little angel to miss the things he lacked when he was a child. End of this chapter. The fake daughter can be either salty or sweet. Author, Wu Zai. Chapter 302. Chapter 302 Past and Present Life. She wanted the little angel to have a complete and wonderful childhood. A girl led a little boy in front, followed by 6 teenagers in black clothes and black trousers, who looked like bodyguards hired at a high price. The eyes of everyone in the playground were attracted by them. The eyes of envy, jealousy, and adoration, without exception. Uncle Chen Chen, that young lady likes you. The messenger suddenly saw a female student in a short black skirt handing out flyers and turned to Gui Chen Chen. Envoy, you can't use mind-reading skills casually. Yang Zizi was very dissatisfied with the envoy's habit of using superpowers indiscriminately. Since they have chosen to live in the human world, they must follow the rules of the human world. Once they use superpowers, they must follow the rules of the human world. Ability, that is breaking the rules and disrespecting yourself. I didn't use mind-reading skills, but that young lady really likes Uncle Chen Chen. Which little sister are you? Gui Chen Chen suddenly ran over to join in the fun and picked up the little messenger. That, the ambassador pointed at the female student who was handing out flyers. She was wearing a black short skirt and handing out flyers in the cold winter in front of a large crowd. Looking at her, Gui Chen Chen suddenly felt a little uncomfortable, as if he was blocked by something. It's Choi Ye-in. Yes, it's her. She is more beautiful now than in her previous life, but her life background is a little hard to describe. Yang Zizi also recognized that this female student was Kui Yin in her previous life. Suddenly, Gui Chen Chen stuffed the little girl into Gui Yunyu's arms, approached the female student step by step, and took off his coat at the same time. The female student stared blankly at Gui Chen Chen, who was walking towards her step by step, her eyes filled with hope. She seemed to see the boy glowing. Her heartbeat accelerated. Yes, it felt like heartbeat. Ghost Chen Chen walked up to the female student and put his coat on her body. The coat was big enough to cover half of her body. It's such a cold day, be kind to yourself. His voice was rare and gentle. The female student looked at him with surprise and emotion in her eyes. By the time she reacted, Gui Chen Chen and the others had disappeared. She threw away the flyer in her hand and tried her best to find him in the huge amusement park. However, she never found him. Instead, she was scolded by her boss for leaving her job midway, and her salary was also cut in half. Why did he feel so familiar to her? Why did she feel inexplicably fond of him the first time she saw him? It could even be said that she fell in love with him. Does she really want to miss it like this? She walked exhausted on the street and returned to the school dormitory. Roommates all joked that she has a boyfriend, and he might be a super rich second generation. From then on, her roommate also began to fawn over her. Since you don't like her, why do you want to provoke her in this life? Yang Zizi asked lightly. It was really difficult to guess a person's attitude towards feelings. I don't know, I'm just following my heart. That's right, you have fallen in love with Kui Yin, Yang Zizi said with certainty. 20 years ago, I attended her memorial service in the name of a fan. At that time, I didn't know why my heart suddenly hurt violently. Gui Chen Chen didn't know what happened to him. He originally thought it was just because of a friend. He was sad to leave, but as the days passed, he found that he was getting more and more uncomfortable, and even his mind was filled with this girl who loved to laugh. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The fake daughter can be either salty or sweet. Author, Wu Zizai. Chapter 303. Chapter 303 Guarding. Although he fell in love with this human girl, it is impossible for them to be together after all. They may be together for up to 20 years. 20 years later, she will grow old and he will still be a teenager. How much pressure will she have to endure? Change her, and she will experience unprecedented pain, and even if she gains eternal life, she will never have the chance to be reincarnated as a human being. At this point, Gui Chen Chen decided to protect her silently. As long as he could see her, life after life, he would find her and recognize her, and even more, he would protect her. One day, I was bored and wandering around, so I went to the amusement park. The girl was still working hard. Suddenly she saw him. and he wanted to turn around and leave. After the girl saw him, she immediately picked up the shopping bag placed behind her, caught up with him, and handed the shopping bag to Gui Chen Chen. Thank you for the clothes. The girl's smile was still as dazzling as in the previous life. Ghost Chen Chen glanced at her. She did not dress like last time, but wrapped herself tightly. This is the best respect for winter. He was dumbfounded and didn't answer the call for a long time. Hi, the girl waved in front of him. Gui Chen Chen realized that it was really not easy for her to work so hard and go to college at the same time. In her last life, she fought her way into the entertainment industry for her own sake, and left this world before she even got the award she wanted most. Recently, Yuan Hang is recruiting new artists. I see that your conditions are good in all aspects. Maybe you can give it a try, Gui Chen Chen suggested with a smile. Since he failed to do what he wanted to do in his last life, then in this life, he will definitely help her complete it. But the girl lowered her head in embarrassment and said unconfidently, but I was not born in a major. She is currently studying in an ordinary university, and her major is also very unpopular because the tuition fee is low. Many artists have not even graduated from junior high school. Why do you deny yourself so quickly? As long as you are capable, everything is possible. Hearing Gui Chen Chen's inspirational words, the girl instantly gained courage, and then asked weakly, are you a talent scout? Gui Chen Chen laughed, looked at her and said, I am your destined person. Girls don't quite understand the fate of a destined person. After saying that, Gui Chen Chen turned around and was about to leave, but the girl continued to catch up and return the coat to him. Keep it as a souvenir. After saying that, he turned around and disappeared as soon as the girl lowered her head and raised her head again. When Yang Zizi arrived at the company, he had already heard that the company had recruited a new person, who was a non-major student. Many people began to laugh at the new girl. As soon as she heard it, she knew it must be Kui Yin. Gui Chen Chen seemed heartless, but he was still quite infatuated at heart. In the last life, Kui Yin was an artist under her own company, and this time she is again. It is a kind of fate. She will definitely help this dream-chasing girl get the award she wants most. Time flies by very quickly. 20 years have passed, and there are still 80 years left to wait among the 100 years we have been waiting for. But with my brothers, the envoy, and 11 jinn by my side, this long wait will not be boring. In the past 20 years, Kui Yin in this life has also won the award she wanted most, got married and had children. Now she lives a wealthy life that everyone envies. She often appears in variety shows and talk shows, and is praised by netizens. Call it saved the galaxy in my previous life. End of this chapter. The fake daughter can be either salty or sweet. Author, Wu Zizai. Chapter 304. Chapter 304 20 years. What netizens said is not wrong. Kui Yin must have been so lucky because she saved the galaxy in her previous life. The vampire clan has no owner. 5 years ago, the brothers decided to go back to the vampire clan to see what was going on. Now, the brothers finally called to say that everything is fine in the vampire clan. Ghost Xiaogu has also resumed his position as the leader of the vampire clan and has already successfully succeeded. In a few years, I will probably go back to the human world to see them. Mommy, when will the uncles come back? The little messenger raised her little head and blinked at Yang Zizi and asked. The uncles still have a lot of things waiting for them to deal with, so it may take a few years. Yang Zizi squatted down, touched the little envoy's head and said, wouldn't it be nice to have Brother Zijin accompany the little envoy? That's good, but Brother Zijin is too childish. He always likes to grab things from me. He obviously can't steal things from me, but he still calls me a cheater. Yang Zizi smiled, this kid still looked like an old kid. If he steals your things next time, then you have to fight with him. Yang Zizi has never had the habit of restricting envoys from using force. Fighting with Zijin is the best way to train an ambassador. As the son of the god of war, his combat power must exceed that of the god of war and become the second generation of the god of war. He must make sure that when Lun Zhenji comes back, he will see a son who is even more powerful than he was when he was a child. Brother 11 Jin can't beat me. What if I hurt him? The envoy asked, tilting his head. You have collected a lot of herbal medicine over the years, why don't you just apply it on him? Yang Zizi said with a smile. What are you two mumbling about? At this time, 11 Jin suddenly walked in, looked at the mother and son, and couldn't help but complain, maybe trying to trick him again. As time passed by, the lives of 8 people suddenly became 3 people. 11 Jin was afraid of the dark, so he often went to Yang Zizi's house in the middle of the night to borrow an envoy to accompany him. You say that he is a big and ferocious wolf dog who is not afraid of anything but the dark. How strange is that he is afraid of the dark. Day after day, year after year, almost all the people I know have grown old, but they are still young and have not changed at all. In order to prevent being discovered by humans, Yang Zizi sold the company, which was enough to support his family for more than 80 years. If it is really not enough, then 11 Jin can only be pushed out to work. They have reserved this piece of land so that no one can come in. If they go out, they must be fully armed like superstars, which attracts many people to look at them strangely. On a hot day, in the 30s and 40s, they actually go out wearing masks, sunglasses and caps. Are they not afraid of heat stroke? But most of the time, they try to go to sparsely populated places to play some sports, such as baseball, golf, or picnics. Such a small life is still very carefree. At least they have enough money, but after spending it recklessly for a period of time, it's hard to tell. Because of Yang Zizi's laziness, 11 Jin became a great chef. He works in the kitchen every day and has developed the abilities that a housewife and man should have. Proficient in cleaning, cooking, and shopping for groceries. He is a werewolf, but he actually lives like a housewife. Ghost Xiaogu. Come back quickly. Or maybe Lun Zhenji, please come back quickly, he doesn't want to help support his wife and children anymore. End of this chapter. The fake daughter can be either salty or sweet. Author, Wu Zizai. Chapter 305. Chapter 305 100 years. Time flies like an arrow, 100 years later. On the last day, Yang Zizi and his envoy stood on the top floor of the villa waiting for Lun Zhenji to fly home from afar. Mommy, we have been waiting here for several hours, why hasn't Lun Zhenji appeared yet? Don't worry, it's coming soon. Yang Zizi comforted the envoy and himself at the same time. Muchen Yi promised her that he would help her bring the prosperous world back safely. He will definitely do it, she believes in him. However, the sky is dark and the earth is dark, and half of Lun Zhenji's shadow has not yet been seen. Is he not coming back? The little guy was a little impatient in waiting. Seeing the disappointed look on Mommy's face, he knew that Mommy must be very sad now. If you don't come back, you won't come back. The little envoy will stay with Mommy forever, and there is no need for prosperity. The little envoy hugged Yang Zizi tightly, not wanting to make Mommy sad. No, he will definitely come back. Suddenly, a pair of wings flew over from far to near in the sky. The faces of one big and one small are full of surprise and laughter. It's a prosperous time. The little envoy jumped up and down excitedly, clapped and cheered, finally able to see his true face. However, after seeing the other party clearly, it was not a prosperous time at all, but a sudden fall. Why did she not wait for the prosperous age of Lun, but what she waited for was Muchanai? Yang Zizi looked behind him, but there was no shadow. Shen Yi saw her thoughts. For so many years, she still has only a prosperous age. He's gone. Muchanai's heavy tone was a bit self-blaming. I'm sorry that I couldn't bring him back to you safely. What? When I brought him to see you, he disappeared halfway. I searched for him for a long time and couldn't find him. I looked at her apologetically. Then he is still alive, right? As long as he is alive, no matter where he is, she will find him back. I looked a little weak, and he was much thinner than before. His sickly look made people a little worried. But Yang Zizi's only mind was on Lun Zhenqi, and he didn't pay attention to other people at all. However, the weird little envoy quickly noticed this and peeked into the other party's memory. It turned out that he was trying to save Lun Zhenqi, regardless of his own life. At the end of the scene, Shen Yi realized that someone was looking at his memory, and when he lowered his head, he saw a miniature version of Lun Zhenqi. He glanced at Yang Zizi. "Oh, this is my and Lun Zhenqi's son, called Xiaoshi." Yang Zizi introduced him with a smile. She knew that Mu Chenai would not be able to hurt Xiaoshi, but she hoped that the two of them could become good friends. Relation. "Hello, brother. Why does this kid always call everyone brother? Where does this put her seniority?" "Thank you, brother." The envoy walked forward and made an invisible slit in the palm of his hand, sealing it with Shen Yi's big palm. Much Shen Yi felt a stream of heat entering his body. Brother will be very healthy. This kid is saving him. At the end of the scene, Shen Yi finally smiled. As expected, he is the son of Yang Zizi and Lun Zhenqi, so he should not be underestimated. You are so capable at such a young age, it's better to be friends in the future. He should be in the human world and has not gone too far, Mu Shenai said. I'll go find him now. Yang Zizi didn't want to wait any longer. She had waited too long for 200 years. Wait, Mu Shenai called him in time. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The fake daughter can be either salty or sweet. Author, Wu Zizai. Chapter 306. Chapter 306 Amnesia. Yang Zizi turned to look at him. Is there anything else? Seeing Mu Chenai's expression of not knowing whether to say something or not, Yang Zizi felt nervous as something bad happened again. He has lost his memory, except for you. I just forgot to you. This sentence keeps hovering in Yang Zizi's. No matter, if he forgets her, she will definitely try her best to make him remember her. It doesn't matter, Yang Zizi smiled and shook his head. Mommy, I'll go with you. The little messenger was brought up by 11 Jin, and he developed a sensitive nose, which might be able to help. After all, there are many and complex smells in the human world. It is not easy to find someone, and the little messengers with a sensitive nose, you might be able to smell the scent of Lun Zhenqi and find him quickly. Good. Moreover, the little angel at this time is no longer the little baby he was 100 years ago. He has learned to control his wings, the speed and direction of flight. At the end of the scene, Shen Yi stood on the spot, looking at the backs of one large and one small person walking away. Hong of prosperity. You are so happy. He turned around, smiled sadly to himself, spread his wings, and left. He has done what he should do, and from now on, he will continue to be alone. In order not to worry 11 Jin, the little envoy was much more attentive than his mother, whose family was full of prosperity, and made a phone call to inform 11 Jin's brother that they would be looking for someone outside recently to ask him to prepare meals, etc. with the return of their family of 3. 11 Jin couldn't help but feel sad again. This was clearly treating him as a housekeeper. These 200 years have been the happiest and most fulfilling 100 years he has lived. However, after all, he cannot live forever. He has to leave after all, because he will be back soon, and what is the point of staying here? Yang Zizi and the envoy searched for Lun Zhenqi for 3 days and 3 nights. They made a lot of jokes, encountered a lot of embarrassment, and attracted a lot of strange looks from people. But they didn't give up. She would definitely get him back. Yang Zizi looked at the little envoy. Sure enough, he was living with his own mother, and he was definitely not living a good life. It had only been 3 days, and the boy had already lost a lot of weight. She took the envoy into a large shopping mall and found that she had been to this shopping mall before. At that time, it was here that she saw Lunchenchi for the first time. "What does the little envoy want to eat?" Yang Zizi asked. Eating hamburgers, fried chicken, and chocolate milk candies, the little angel's eyes were almost shining. The envoy ignored all the poplar seeds he said and walked to a fruit shop on his own initiative. "Let's eat fruit." The ambassador curled her lips. It was like this every time. Every time she asked him what he wanted to eat, she never let him eat what he wanted. It was all what she liked. "Here, take it." Yang Zizi scooped up a fruit that was twice as big and let the little girl hold it. Yang Zizi started eating with a spoon. The little envoy looked at Yang Zizi eagerly. He asked himself to hold 2 cups. How did he want to eat it? He had no choice but to drink the yogurt inside. The fruit inside had nothing to do with him. Suddenly, Yang Zizi's chirping mouth suddenly stopped, and his eyes looked forward with hope. "Mommy, what's wrong with you? Maybe it's because I haven't eaten fruit for a long time and I was moved." But when he followed Yang Zizi's gaze, his eyes suddenly shone. The movements and expressions of mother and son are so synchronized. End of this chapter. The fake daughter can be either salty or sweet. Author, Wu Zizai. Chapter 307. Chapter 307. Go home. Lunchenchi. In the end, the envoy had a brighter mind and quickly reacted and ran towards the man. Yang Zizi was suddenly awakened by his son's call. Looking at Lunchenchi, who was entangled by the messenger like a dream, she felt that it was so unreal. Is it really Lunchenchi? Why did she feel as if she was in a dream? It had been 200 years, a full 200 years, and she finally saw him. The grievance and sadness, as well as the torment day and night, were finally worth it. "Lunchenchi, I heard that you have lost your memory. Is it true or not?" The envoy dragged Lunchenchi and kept chattering. Lunchenchi, who was forced to squat down by the envoy, simply said hello with a cute expression on his face. "Whose child are you from?" Lunchenchi asked doubtfully. Why did he feel a little familiar with this child? "He's from your family." The envoy was tired from standing and took the initiative to sit on his lap. Lunchenchi didn't refuse, just looking at the small version of himself. At first glance, they would really be considered a family. "Hi, is this your brother?" Suddenly, a tall girl came over. Seeing the conspicuous Lunchenchi, she immediately said hello. "This is his son." When Yang Zizi saw his love rival appearing, he immediately rushed over from a snail-like speed to a wind-like speed, blocking the young lady's front. The young lady looked a little embarrassed, and finally left with no choice but to look at Lunchenchi with reluctance. "Mommy, he really doesn't seem to know us." The little envoy pointed at Lunchenchi, and then at the two of them, with an adorable expression. "Take him home first and let him remember it slowly." I don't know why Yang Zizi is very calm at this moment. She thought that the moment she saw Lunchenchi, she would go crazy with excitement, but the fact was exactly the opposite. Lunchenchi looked at the strange mother and son and thought, maybe they were trying to rob someone because they were too good looking. In today's human world, it's all about appearance. The envoy said "Oh," patted Lunchenchi on the shoulder and said, "Let's go." "Where, going?" The majestic vampire god of war looks as timid as a mouse at this moment, which is really a wonder in the world. "Go home," said the envoy. How could he ask such a stupid question in this prosperous age? Lunchenchi said "Oh" and stood up, hugging the little messenger who was still sitting on his lap. "Follow my mommy." The little messenger made a cute gesture and ordered him to follow his mommy. The father and son chatted while going back. "She is your biological mother." Lunchenchi looked at the girl in front of him. She was only in her early 20s and she was already a mother? Of course. I didn't fall from the sky. The little envoy raised his head and said proudly. 11 Jin looked at this cute child and felt a fatherly heart in his heart. Where is your father? He asked. He didn't know who was so lucky to marry a young and beautiful lady and a cute little baby. You. Didn't you hear me say I was your child just now? The envoy rolled his eyes and said, this father has a really bad memory. Lun Zhenqi didn't know how to deny it, but for some reason he felt an urge not to deny it. Who are they? He finally got out of hell. Could it be that they were the god of hell who came to catch him? End of this chapter. The fake daughter can be either salty or sweet. Author, Wu Zizai. Chapter 308. Chapter 308. The last dinner cooked for you. Thinking of this, Lun Zhenqi was excited and quickly put down the envoy to go to Tao Xiaoyao. Suddenly Yang Zizi flashed in front of him and blocked his way. Where do you want to go? I suddenly remembered that I still had something to do, so I took the first step. Lun Zhenqi waved his head, feeling a little guilty. Yang Zizi pulled him by the collar. Lun Zhenqi. In this life, you can never leave me. Even if you lose your memory, I will try my best to remind you. Amnesia. Lun Zhenqi is a little confused. Suddenly, the envoy came over and took Lun Zhenqi's hand. The envoy raised his head, Lun Zhenqi lowered his head, and they looked at each other. Suddenly, a familiar memory poured into his mind like a spring. Scene after scene, they are all related to this young lady. In his memory, he seems to love her very much. The last memory is the birth of the little angel, and the last one is the little sister risking her life to enter the 18th level of to save him for her. It turned out that they were not the god of hell, but people who came to visit him. According to the memory transmitted to him by the little envoy, he was indeed the husband of the little sister and the father of the little envoy. But why does he have no memory at all about such a big thing? Because you have lost your memory, you don't remember mommy and I, the little messenger reminded helplessly, thinking about many scenarios of the first meeting between He Lun and Lun Zhenqi. There is the joy of running in both directions, and there is a vicious tongue that cares about face, but there is no scene where you don't recognize them as soon as you meet. It doesn't matter if you don't recognize yourself, but if you don't recognize mommy, the little envoy will be very angry. Lun Zhenqi glanced at the extremely cold Yang Zizi, and felt an indescribable feeling in his heart. This girl was both familiar and unfamiliar. He couldn't remember what happened between them, but the memories the little angel showed him were very real and seemed to fill the only empty space in his heart for decades. And the dream every day and every night, and will she be the girl in the dream? Although I don't remember it, I will try to remember it. For some reason, this girl had an inexplicable attraction that made him have to be conquered by her. When I got home, I found that the table was full of delicious dishes, all of which Yang Zizi liked to eat. You can tell it is made by 11 Jin as soon as you smell it. It has a unique taste. There was a greeting card left on the table, with the touching words written on it, Zizi, thank you for letting me stay with you and letting me feel what love is, thank you for letting me raise your little angel so confidently. Gave me a chance to return to my childhood. I know that tonight is the day when your family of 3 will be reunited. There was a paragraph below that was crossed out by 11 Jin as if he had changed his mind. The painting was very dark and it was difficult to see what was written. The last paragraph was a blessing and that he would return to the wolf tribe and do his best to do what he, the leader, should do. Is brother Zijin gone? The envoy was a little reluctant to leave. Yang Zizi squatted down, touched the back of the envoy's head, and said gently, let's go see 11 Jin when we have time. Okay, the little angel jumped for joy. After all, he was the brother who raised him, so he naturally liked him very much and was reluctant to part with him. Who is it? Suddenly, the wooden person who had been standing aside for a few minutes finally spoke, with a sour taste in his tone. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The fake daughter can be either salty or sweet. Author, Wu Zizai. Chapter 309. Chapter 309 Letter. Brother 11 Jin, the envoy looked up at Lun Zhenqi with a proud expression as if to show off. Who is Brother 11 Jin? Lun Zhenqi continued to ask. Yang Zizi looked at Lun Zhenqi, and he was still so jealous after losing his memory. Okay, let's talk while eating. Yang Zizi asked the father and son to sit down. 11 Jin must have spent a lot of time cooking this meal. In order to thank him for his sincerity, Yang Zizi planned to eat all the meals. Lun Zhenqi, feed me. The envoy handed the chopsticks to Lun Zhenqi and asked him to feed him. Lun Zhenqi took the chopsticks, picked up a shelled crayfish and handed it to Yang Zizi's mouth. Not only did the ambassador not look unhappy, but he instantly became the only one in the crowd. Yang Zizi was stunned, and after reacting, he took the crayfish into his mouth. Why does he seem to have lost his memory and yet not seem to have lost his memory? You remembered? Yang Zizi asked tentatively. No, but the envoy let me see it. Do you believe it? Yang Zizi looked into his eyes. She believed that he believed in them. Letter. This simple word instantly made Yang Zizi at a loss. If she could have trusted him so firmly 200 years ago, her brothers would not have been killed by Lun Zhenqi. Maybe there would not have been 200 years of waiting. Little ambassador, it won't be 100 years of father's love and mother's love. The envoy took advantage of this opportunity and sneaked out from under the table. In order not to disturb them, he tiptoed out of the living room, leaving all the space for them. Because my heart will not lose its memory. Lun Zhenqi looked at her, becoming more and more familiar with her. Yang Zizi hugged him, and the two of them fell to the ground because of too much force. Do you know how hard I have been waiting for you? I'm sorry, I will never let you wait for me again. Lun Zhenqi raised his hand and wiped away the tears from the corners of his eyes. It is impossible for an angel to have tears, but because of him, her tears became transparent. I'm the one who should say I'm sorry. I shouldn't disbelieve you. Yang Zizi shook his head, blaming himself for the stupid things he did 200 years ago. If she could do it all over again, she would definitely stand on the side of Lun Zhenqi without hesitation, and she would definitely choose to believe in him unconditionally. However, there is no if in this world, not even in the vampire race, not even in hell. I don't blame you, it's just that I didn't explain it clearly to you. He pressed Yang Zizi's head and let her lie on his chest, feeling his silent love. At this moment, Yang Zizi felt extremely happy. It was totally worth spending 200 years to exchange for this moment. Since the return of Lun Zhenqi, Yang Zizi has lost the ability to take care of himself. Everything in the family depends on her husband and children. Whether it is making money or housework, these two men take care of everything. However, Yang Zizi spent money too lavishly, and within a short time, all his family property was lost to Yang Zizi. She disagrees with Lun Zhenqi going out to earn money, and she doesn't want to leave him now. Since Lun's prosperity is gone, only the envoy is left in the family. The whole family can be carried on his small shoulders. What other people's children say to their parents before going out in the morning is, I went to school, while their children say, I went to work. When other people's children come back from school, their parents have to drive there to pick them up. Their children work until early in the morning and have to fly back by themselves. End of this chapter. The fake daughter can be either salty or sweet. Author, Wu Zizai. Chapter 310. Chapter 310. The little envoy is in charge. When the little girl came home from get off work early in the morning, she saw her father and mother feeding each other, which was not surprising. Who calls them his biological parents? Of course they have to be pampered and raised. Mommy, I bought you oden, milk tea, and spicy hot pot on the way. Eat it quickly. Every time the little girl comes back, she will bring home Yang Zizi's favorite food. Looking at Yang Zizi, who was working so hard every day and night, he casually asked, "What kind of job did the ambassador find? He comes back so late every day." He took a sip of milk tea, his expression instantly seemed like he had discovered a new world, and then he let Lun Zhenji also have a taste. The ambassador ignored them and replied, "Venice model." "What?" Yang Zizi was so surprised that he almost spat out the milk tea in his mouth. "It's the model company that is popular internationally." Although Yang Zizi was in the entertainment industry in the past, he would occasionally pay attention to the news in the modeling industry, and he still knew this common sense. The envoy glanced at Yang Zizi, whose hands were shaking with excitement, and nodded calmly. "As for being so excited? As expected of my Yang Zizi's son, he was different from the moment he was born. He became a hit as soon as he made a move." Yang Zizi hugged his son tightly. "No wonder the food has been getting better and better these days." Buying her various famous brands, it turned out that his son was going to be successful. "Whenever there is a competition, mommy will definitely go to support it." The little ambassador looked at his mother helplessly. She didn't look like she was going to support her. She was obviously just showing off. Okay. He can still see it now. By the time she went to participate in her own competition, the corners of her mouth would be raised to the sky. Lun Zhenji, however, looked disdainful. Thinking about his great achievements in the human world, the envoy could not catch up to even half of them. "Envoy, please take a shower and go to bed quickly. Don't disturb your mother and me." Lun Zhenji started to get jealous and kept interrupting. "Go to bed early. With this money tree, the couple can do whatever they want. Uncle, how about we go on a trip tomorrow?" Yang Zizi lay in the arms of Lun Zhenji, enjoying the family happiness without any worries. "Okay, whatever you want to do, I will accompany you. Anyway, we have eternity." Lun Zhenji lowered his head and kissed her lips. At this time, the little messenger happened to come out of the bath and wrapped in a bath towel. He pretended not to see him and just came out to get a bottle of milk. Drinking milk before going to bed every day was something he was used to. Originally, vampires do not need to sleep, but after living with 11 jinn for a long time, their sleeping habits have not changed yet. "Aren't you going to sleep?" the ambassador asked before taking a bottle of milk and returning to the room. "We're not sleeping, baby." The little envoy suddenly got goosebumps all over her body. She had never called him such a crooked name since she came back from the heyday of Lun dynasty. This title in her heart only belongs to the prosperous age. Is something wrong? He had already guessed what was going on in Yang Zizi's eyes. Before Yang Zizi could speak, the ambassador quickly said, "There is a kind of credit card with a balance of several 100 million. I forgot it. It is in the drawer of the bedside table in your room. The password is your birthday. Spend whatever you want and have fun." The envoy recited the lines with an expressionless face and left as if he was reciting the lines. The couple looked at each other. As expected, they were born in their family, and they understood them very well. End of this chapter.